All right, I would like to officially open the meeting of the Public Safety Subcommittee for, that's my famous proposed date, November 10th at 3:30. We only have one item on our agenda, and it's to talk about the application that we got from the Mobilite Corporation about putting up a monopole on municipal property. And that seems to be the hang-up, the fact that it's municipal property. And it does seem like they want to build structure rather than using existing structure. There's been a lot of communities that have been looking at this situation because it kind of falls in this gray area as far as Mass General Law, which governs poll locations, and we did get an email from our city solicitor regarding these poll locations, and that a lot of municipalities are looking at the legality of them as a whole, because the way I understand it, we have to deal with it, the municipality is like being a landowner, and whether or not we can put these things in like a right of way, because we have rules on the books that have to do with actual utilities that are registered in Massachusetts and FCC laws and whatnot, and there's kind of a big question as to whether or not Mobilite is covered under any of those laws, and it seems to be going in the opposite direction. There are some other affected towns as well. So there are definitely some zoning issues that need to be dealt with. But one of the things that our solicitor said, and I'm just going to read it so that it gets into the public record here, and this is from John H. Fitzgibbon, and he writes, "There are a whole host of issues surrounding such a proposal, but my research indicates that most, if not all, communities have taken the position that General Law C-166, Sections 21 and 22, which govern poll location hearings, only applies to public utilities that are registered with Mass DTC or hold FCC licenses, and do not apply to companies such as Mobilite. The statutes are admittedly subject to interpretation, but these towns are taking the position that the company must deal with the municipality as a landowner or must negotiate with the municipality for a lease or some other type of arrangement to install such a monopole within the public right-of-way. That in turn raises a whole list of other issues, such as whether these rights need to be put out to bid and whether two procurement laws are therefore implicated. The company's been involved in negotiations with a number of affected towns. Northampton, I believe, is meeting with them. My point is that it's very much state of flux right now as municipal attorneys struggle to find an appropriate solution. My suggestion is that the committee and the city council reject the application at this point on grounds that the statute is inapplicable to this petition. Perhaps then we can have a meeting with the company and discuss these issues. In the meantime, I'm in contact with the Mass Municipal Lawyers Association to see how other communities are dealing with these issues. Please feel free to contact them. So I told them we would take it under advisement, but it kind of speaks to some of the questions that we had all had at the beginning anyway. So we sent him a list of questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
And did he answer those questions, or did he just come back to us with a couple of PowerPoints?
The email that was forwarded. It is the response that I got that came with the first PowerPoint.
Yeah.
The deploying infrastructure network on behalf of Sprint and others working towards 5G densification. In regards to the question of whether it's just Sprint or not. Providing backhaul and bandwidth, other uses that will enable smart city Internet of Things, public safety uses, tracking of data, etc. Working towards agreements and approvals in other communities. Mentions in all his emails that there's a legal template he has to work with that he's going to give me a copy of, but he hasn't, and that
Mm-hmm.
he wants to drive through East Hampton, because he's never been here. And
Right.
see what Liberty Street looks like, and see what the town looks like and all that.
Yeah.
So hopefully he does do those things.
It's also somehow sent this from the future.
Um,
November 11th, 2016.
The other thing, looking at the second PowerPoint you sent,
Mm-hmm.
there was a couple points in there that struck me as relevant to Jack's email that we just read about how they're not paying Townsend, they won't pay Townsend. I'd have to find it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of in the email too. Jack's got it saying that it's 75 feet tall, and the one, the ask is actually 120.
Yeah, everything seems to indicate that they're looking for permission to do up to 120,
Okay.
and that they probably won't do up to 120, but
Well, the spot they're looking at is in a dingle, so I'm not gonna do something
it
else.
seems like a terrible spot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would be uncomfortable moving forward with something that our city solicitor is saying that we shouldn't be moving forward with it because there's too many unanswered questions.
Yeah, I mean, that first paragraph about not complying with 166.21.22 bothered me enough, and then I got to the next paragraph where he said, my suggestion is you reject it.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to disagree with anytime we may be breaking the law. Let's make sure we're not.
Exactly.
Especially with a plan that, I mean, nobody was doing backflips over anyway.
Right. Yeah, I mean, can I make that motion?
You can make any motion.
I'm
you
gonna
want.
make a motion that we reject this application on the point of the grounds that the statute isn't applicable to this petition.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. And I think so I don't want to send a letter telling them that we've rejected the application until after the city council meeting on Wednesday.
Okay.
Because I think this would have to go before city council, so I think is the full city council that would have to reject the application.
Yeah, and we could just remove it without prejudice, and assuming mobility's gonna come back
You're right.
with their.
Can we
teeth
remove it,
crossed.
can we vote to reject it and remove it without prejudice? I mean, they would have to start over again if we're just rejecting the application.
Yeah, I mean, we could just move to, remove it. And let mobility know and just leave it on the agenda or remove it without prejudice.
I think we remove it without prejudice, but,
Just so they don't, so we don't have to start all this conversations over again.
Right.
Whenever they wanna bring it back, bring it back. But we'll let them know in the meantime, here's the statute.
yeah.
And here's our concerns.
Right.
And don't come back until.
So
you
Wednesday
satisfy
city
that
council,
stuff.
I'll just let people know that we've rejected the application, but we'd like to remove it without application, without prejudice, in case they're gonna come back with the application.
Yeah, I mean, we could reject it specifically reject this
Particular
application for this particular reason, and they could easily that would allow them to come back with any other application for any other reason. But it might be easier to just remove it and let them catch up with us and
Yeah.
come back if they want to.
Mm-hmm. So I think we should wait on telling Mobilite until after city council on Wednesday? Is that okay for us to do?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
We don't have to write them a letter today.
Yeah.
It's a long weekend, later.
No, it is.
Your motion was to reject it.
My motion is to reject reject the application. And I'm doing that because that's what the city solicitor said, you know, on the grounds that the statute is inapplicable to this petition. So the basis of his application is not on solid footing, so to speak. And that's because they're not a Mass DTC or Holden FCC license, you know? I just don't think we can.
Yeah. And I still haven't found the wording on this, but I know I read from their correspondence, we're a private, for-profit company with this goal, certain goal, and we don't budge, because that's our business. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it, you know, it was probably in a couple less words than that, but.
No, I
got
saw that as well.
Very clear message from them.
Right.
I was like, all right.
No, Mobilite don't play. So it's basically the same PowerPoint, but then they added.
And maybe it was in the email, I sent this from every. It was disconcerting even that our main point of contact had never been to East Hampton. Didn't know where he was proposing to put this thing.
No.
Didn't sit well with me. But,
Well, it definitely seems like they kind of blanketed the states with them, from everything that I found online.
All 48 states.
I mean, like, the cities and towns in Massachusetts, like, they kind of hit everybody. Where are we gonna be able to put them, you know?
And the only other thing we have right now is Pleasant Street, which I did put on the agenda. There's nothing new. It's just a matter of me finding the time, which I think might be tomorrow, actually. To really finalize everything, so just.
Can I help with
sorry.
that? Do you wanna have like a working meeting, or are you good, or?
No, it's more just actually walking the street again, which is why I say so long, because finding that chunk of time is unexpected.
Gotcha.
Otherwise, it should be very close. Anything else you'd like to discuss?
No, I don't have a lot of words.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in
Adjourn.
favor?